Pasta is probably one of the first foods that get cut out when someone wants to lose weight, and even though I don't think that it's necessary, I can understand why. 100 grams of raw pasta, which is one average serving, comes in with 350 calories and 13 grams of protein, which is quite a lot of calories. However, there are multiple ways to still eat pasta without completely going crazy with calories. First is the kind of pasta. Instead of the regular one, you can go with whole wheat pasta that has the same calories and protein but also more fiber. Then there is chickpea pasta that has even more fiber but also 19 grams of protein. And lastly, if you like it, there is red lentil pasta with up to 27 grams of protein. So by choosing a pasta with a higher protein content, you can save some of the calories on the sauce later on. Speaking of sauces, I will make a simple cheese sauce. Every cheese sauce I make always starts with a slice of American cheese, and the reason for that is this. This is called sodium citrate, which is the salt in citric acid and is mixed with all kinds of processed cheeses, and this is the reason they melt so well without becoming greasy. So now you can take one slice and combine it with any cheese that you like that normally wouldn't melt very well, like this low-fat mozzarella. This cheese has really good macros, but it will not become a creamy sauce by its own, but in combination with the sodium citrate inside the American cheese, it will. So, I will cut 60 grams of mozzarella into smaller pieces and mix both cheeses with my hands and lay this aside. The next step to an amazing cheese sauce is evaporated milk. This is 50 grams of a 3% fat milk and will help making the sauce creamy with its super concentrated proteins. To the milk, I will now add 15 grams of gochujang. This is hot chili paste with fermented soy and tastes absolutely ridiculous in any cheese sauces. 15 grams is enough, this is very spicy. Now we'll mix everything and we can get to cooking. So this is probably the way most of us cook pasta. You bring a big pot completely filled with water to a boil, which takes forever. Then you add salt, because allegedly the water needs a lot more time until it boils if you add salt right away. And then we add pasta and cook it through. However, I will show you a technique that will not only be easier, but will elevate every pasta sauce that you make from now on. I will start with a cold pan, this is 24 cm or 9.5 inches, where I add my pasta in. Then I will add just enough water so everything is covered, around 500 grams. Now I will switch on the heat to high and immediately add salt, but only a teaspoon, that's enough for this little amount of water. Now we'll bring this to a boil, which will take the exact same amount of time, while stirring in the first 2 minutes every once in a while so the pasta doesn't stick. Then I will switch the heat down to medium-high and cook the pasta until al dente, around 10 minutes. This technique has multiple benefits. You will need less water, less salt, it will take less time to boil, it requires less energy, but most important is this. On the left is the water from a pot filled with water, and on the right you see the water from the pan. As you can see, the pan water is way more cloudy, and that is because pasta loses starch when cooking, and because of little water the starch is super concentrated. Starch, however, is an emulsifier that will make every sauce creamier and less greasy. So by doing this you have a super concentrated emulsifier in your pasta water. So I will save some of the water in a glass and leave the rest in the pan. You can always add it back later on. Now after 10 minutes my pasta water is reduced, I will add my evaporated milk and then add in the cheese. I will reduce the heat not too low and slowly combine everything. After a minute or so this will turn into a super creamy and thick cheese sauce. This is what you want. If you want it thinner, however, you can now either add a tablespoon of evaporated milk or a bit of your saved pasta water and keep stirring until you have your consistency that you like. This meal with regular pasta comes in with 584 calories, 85 grams of carbs, 14 grams of fat and 30 grams of protein. If you would have added the red lentil pasta, you could increase the protein content to 44 grams, which is pretty good. Also, and this is my third tip, I like to add cooked vegetables into mac and cheese to make it higher in volume so you have a bigger meal. I cooked 200 grams of broccoli in salted water for 3 minutes, drained it so the sauce doesn't get too watery, and added it into the pasta at the very end of the recipe. You could also add in roasted vegetables like red pepper and onions that would work amazingly well in this recipe. So I really hope you enjoyed this recipe. Click on this video if you want to learn how you can make a creamy chicken and rice, and see you there.